And you at home might ask yourself, so Jeff, you're a storyteller. Is that a direct path? You plan to do that? And I say, no. Well, should I plan to do that? And I say, no. They say, well, you make some money at it? No. I say, well, why do you do it? Because I have to, because it's my calling, because it gives my life meaning. And if you don't have that calling and it doesn't give you meaning, don't do it. It's only because you have to do the arts that you do it. And maybe you'll be rewarded in one way or another, and you'll definitely have a lot more fun than other people. But no, don't do it. Just unless it's a calling. And then you might ask me, well, why then does an adult spend all of his waking, breathing, sleeping time crafting, telling, sharing, driving, flying, to perform, to share stories? Why do that? And I would say, let me tell you a story. Once there was a king, and the king was obsessed with the true and essential nature of time. Well, he had everything he wanted, so in his courtroom, in his court, among them others, he had men with long beards that circled around and big books in which they'd read. And every afternoon, he sat with these learned men with the beards and the books, and they would talk to him about the periodicity of time, the wax and wane of the moon and the sun and the stars, the tides, the coming and the going of time, how time and the turn, the sun and the moon and sunset and sunrise, rainbows, all of it. And at the end of all of those sessions, he would say, I don't know any more today than I did when I walked into that room about the true and essential nature of time. I don't get any answers from these men. Well, one day he was sitting waiting for the server to bring him his soup for lunch. And he overheard the server talking to the cook who was making the soup, who was talking to the buyer who went down to the marketplace every day and bought the ingredients that went into the soup that the server brought to him. And the man that went into the marketplace was talking, it was just amazing. I was down there today and there was a weird fella, had his hair all pulled up, looked like horns, had a little red goatee and spots of color all over in place. Wacky. Eyes were kind of roaming around, never met in the same place. He was running around in a circle screaming. Everybody was backing up and kind of watching to see what he'd do. He was running in a circle and he was running in a circle. He went up to a lady. There was an egg. He grabbed the egg out of her basket. She said, hey. He goes, he popped the egg. It all the yolk went around. But out of the egg came a bird, a fully grown bird with wings, and it flew up. And then it pooped out a seed and it right into his hand. And he looked at the hand and went like that. And it started to grow. And it grew up into a small bush. And then he put, in the square, he put it down on the ground, and it grew up into a big whole tree. And there was a pear tree. And then pears started to grow, and he'd pick them up, and he started giving them to people. I got one. Go, it was juicy, too, for real. And then the guy behind me said, hey. And I turned around. He was a pear merchant, and all his pears were gone. You stole my pears. He came running at the man. The man ran up in the tree. The pear man went up there, too. When the man was at the top of the tree, and the man was coming up who was a pear tree, he went, ah! And he clapped his hands. The whole tree became feathers and everything crashed. Everybody laughed. There was chaos everywhere, and the man escaped. The weird one of the tree. And the pear man said, look. And there were all the pears back on his cart for sale. Amazing. And the cook said, amazing. And the server said, amazing. And the king said, guards, bring me that man. He was the king. Of course, they went into the city. And of course, they brought back the goat-haired man, holding him, little guy, hair all up. Set him down. The king said, so you are a miracle worker. I have brought you here to address me as to what you know about the true and essential nature of time. I am not in a good mood. So I suggest you address my interest directly now. Time? Time? Judy, see? Time? Okay, I'll do my best. Bring me a big bowl platter of water. And the goat-haired man went, drooling all over. What? I have a serious sense of interest in the true and essential nature of time, and you put your head into a bowl of water and out? That's an answer? Explain it. Well, yes. You see, between the time I put my head in the water and the time I put my head out of the water, I flew to the farthest star and came back. I am not amused, and I am running out of patience with you. I have the sense that soon I will do you harm if you do not address me as to what you know about the true and essential nature of time. Time! Time! Okay, sorry. I have an idea. He picked up the bowl of water. You put your head into the bowl of water. Now, the king had led armies. He was known for having courage. His heart never wavered. Yet, in the face of this weird, with the bowl, there was just a moment. He looks around the court. All right, stop. I'll do it. He took the bowl of water and before you knew what was happening, he was in the middle of a big sea. In the sea. Help! You're a magician. A magic man. Very funny, very funny. Help, I'm drowning. Bring me back. Bring me back. Cry as he did, wail as he wanted, ranted and cursed. He was not a king any longer. Now he was a drowning man alone in the middle of the sea. His little arms became lead. He lost all feeling. Numb and tired, he bumped into something. He grabbed it. It was a log. He floated all afternoon, all through the night, slipping off, catching himself, coming up onto the log. He floated on the sea in a coma all night long. And in the dawn, he rose of a color coming into the sky through salt-caked eyelashes. He touched a gland cropped up onto the sand. Weary, bone-tired, fell into the water, slept until the waves lapped up his nose, dragged his weary carcass up higher, sleeping, waking through the day and the night. The next day he woke up. There was a mango tree he saw. He was famished. He ate 3 or 4 of them, the juice running down his cheeks. He threw the water on his chest. He climbed up the edge of the bank, and there he beheld an orchard of trees. There were furrows of tomatoes. He thought, tomatoes, cultivation, culture, commerce. I'm saved. Civilization. He saw a farmer Went, hey, hey. The farmer saw him and said, hey, come on, come on. He ran to the man. The man said, welcome to see you. Oh, I'm so glad to be here. Come on in. We've been waiting for you. We've been really waiting for someone like you. Really? I just came up on the scene. They walked him into the town. He showed him into his house. He walked into a beautiful little house. He said, wow, this is great. When the man knocked him out, when he woke up, he was in the barn. The farmer said, we've been waiting for someone. We need somebody to work in those fields. You'll be perfect. You are now my slave. He escaped. He got to the big city. There was a ship. There was a captain that recognized that he had some intellect, hired him to go out on the ship. He went out and he came back. He had nothing to spend it on, so he saved his money and went out with the captain on another journey. On the way, there was a indigenous sailor who taught him all kinds of chants about how to call the waves and make the waves go away, how to call the fish and make the fish go away, how to call the water, the rain, and to make it go away, how to call the wind and make the wind go away. These are secrets that are lost to us, but it did exist. And so he bought his own boat and then another boat. And soon he became very wealthy. He didn't go out very often. And he lost some of his hair and he got a bigger paunch. He saw a woman and he said, hi. She said, hi. He said, do you? She said, me too. He said, will you? He said, I do. And he said, me too. And they had 3 children. He was happy. But of course, things change. And one day he heard from his wife that the in-laws were coming. He didn't like them, so he went out on the boat. And in the boat, he was standing watching the stars. The wind changed and he was knocked overboard. When he lifted his head up, he looked around. There were well-dressed people in a hall that he sort of recognized. He was holding a bowl of water, and in front of him there was a man with hair twisted up, colors, chin. Right? That was 4 years of my life you took away. I was married. I had children. I had a whole life going on. I almost died. My lord, you put your head into the water and then you took it out. It was just an instant. What? You have given me much to contemplate about the true and essential nature of time. But I do not relish another lesson from you, goat-headed freak. You are excused from my court. Do not come back again. Thank you. I will consider all that I have learned in this experience of the true and essential nature of time. To which the goat-haired one went, time? 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 So to answer your question, the reason a fairly attractive and somewhat educated young man would grow old, spending so much time telling stories, it has something to do with the magical nature of the line of time that goes forward, but in story it spreads out and has width and depth and color and passion, beauty and horror. It has humanity. It has reality. It has supernatural, and it has mysticism. All of that bound together in little stories is what keeps my tongue alive, my mind alive, and my heart beating strong. And that is my answer to you. Bound in 3 stories about time.